João Américo Ayret, famous Indian researcher and defensor of Indian tribes in Brazil, was working in the banks of the Fresco River in the state of Pará when he heard the amazing narration of a fantastic story which the Indians said it wasn't myth, but it really happened 100 years ago. According to the caiapo chief Guebaba, 100 years ago, coming from the forbidden mountain of Pucatoti, appeared in the village for the first time Bep Kororoti, short for Bu, a man who claimed himself to live in a distant world beyond the stars. He also had a daughter named Cobb. According to the story from the chief words, my grandparents said that before, our tribe was named Bengokre. They were nomads and lived on hunting and fishing. One night, they were camping at the foot of the Serra Pucatoti, a mountain that caused distrust and fear because it was always covered with mists and mysterious noises, followed by lightning and weird stars. At a certain time, noise and lightning were caused by an unidentified flying object that passed over them and stopped at the top of the mountain. By the morning, the bravest warriors went to check for possible traces of the object. As they climbed the mountain, an extremely strange smell could be felt, and among the mists, a large foreigner, an invader with a strange physical aspect, was walking around. The invader was completely white from head to toe and had a single eye from an opening, and also carried a silver rod which shined from its tip. He was somehow able to make trees and rocks vanish from thin air by touching them with its rod. Since the tribe warriors could not show fear, they decided to attack the invader. But their attack were futile. The invader easily repelled them. In fact, he did basically nothing. When struck by clubs, he didn't even flinch, and was heavy as a boulder. He simply tossed them aside, and with a touch of his baton, made the warriors pass out in the ground. Realizing they couldn't win, the warriors retreated, and the foreigner made the passed-out warriors wake up, and they also fled. Then, after this event, the place would be called Forbidden Mountain, and no one would venture there. The invader would still be seen in the region whomever. The legend doesn't stop there. One afternoon, some young people went to bathe in a lake and saw another invader. However, unlike the mountain giant, he was beautiful, had fair white skin, was tall, slim, and muscular, and it was taking a bath completely naked in the river. The stranger also saw the men Bengokre, but he seemed indifferent to their presence, acting naturally, and still took his bath. The warriors, following their instructions to face invaders, went to look at him closely and tried to talk to him, and somehow they were able to understand him. The foreigner was very friendly. He then said that he was called Bep Kororoti in their language, or Starborn Man of Stars, and that he had arrived from heaven and he was the one who was attacked by them on the mountain. The young people were surprised and said, "No, we attacked a monster, not you." He laughed and said that it was him, and that he was wearing a suit to protect himself from the world, and that he left his suit on the riverbank and told them to check it. They checked and confirmed it was the same suit, somehow the suit and standing on the air. The being also spoke of these vines of the stars. He called the suit Bu, and said it was used for the stars, and that his staff was named Cobb, and was an extremely powerful weapon, which managed to break mountains and ground with sunlight, and was nicknamed by the Indians Thundering Barbuna. He managed to convince the Indians that he was a visitor from the stars, and he also said he would have to stay on the world for a long time. From there, he was invited to live among the Indians of the village and accept, and he did for a long time. From there, he helped improving the life of the Indians in the social sphere and became the tribe master and best warrior. The Indians said his skills on learning archery and hunting was unlikely anything they ever seen, putting the best warriors to shame. He'd teach them on how to improve their bows, teach them how to make spears, and changed the tribe structure, made the village structure to become round with the chief house being in the middle, and made them stop being nomads and created a tribe council on where the leaders would be chosen by their proficiency by the members, and each one would work together to help the tribe grow. Bep then fell in love with one of the tribe women and decided to marry her. on which they had a daughter named Cobb and a son, and lived there for many years. Haya daughter also married and had a son of her own. As time went by, Bep Kororoti's behavior changed. One day during a hunt, he argued with his companions and disappeared into the bush. For some reason, he covered his family with black paint and left them in their shelter. Then, he dressed in the dangerous shocking suit called bow and armed himself with his kop, the club that fired blending and disintegrating rays. In an unusual attitude for the natives, he challenged the tribe. The tribe thought he had gone mad and tried to dominate him by force. However, as the Indians already knew when the visitor arrived on the mountain, he was invincible, so they just let him go. Bep Kororoti climbed the Sarapukatoti, and moments later, thunder and lightning were heard, and a mysterious light reached his family, and his wife and son disappeared on the stop. Then his flying star or canoe, as the natives described it, went up to the sky, shrouded in smoke and lightning, and disappeared in the clouds. Neopoti, Cobb, his pregnant and married daughter, stayed in the village. She chose to stay, and he said in her mind that she would need to stay if the tribe would someday need his help. After many years and several climate changes and disease, the tribe was dying, and to save a tribe, Cobb decided she had to do something. She went to the same waterfall with her son and husband, and did the same thing her father did. She painted them three in black, stayed by the side of a tree, and by doing a ritual she called her father with her mind. Time later, the flying canoe reapered above the tribe. Bep has returned with his wife and son, and with him, medicine the tribe members have never seen, weird food, and local seeds. He cured all the tribe members and teach them how to plant those seeds to prevent famine from happening again. He then left again with his wife and son, and apologized for burning the forest years in the past. And at the request of Bep Kororoti, the indigenous people were taken to Sarapukatoti, where Bep built them stone houses, and the tribe lived in prosperity, also changing their name to caiapo. And to this day, the tribe members perform Thanksgiving ceremonies wearing clothes made of straw and using an old shotgun to use as the kop, the thundering barbuna used by Bep Kororoti. Years later, the UFO Brazil team took two young people from that tribe, called Kaira and Tariri, to Rio de Janeiro, both 15 years old, for a cultural exchange in the 1970s. When they watched together on television, the Americans led by Armstrong step on the moon in spacesuits, Tariri pointed in alarm at the astronaut on the screen and said, "He looks exactly like Bep Kororoti." The caiapo had a very interesting phrase to define their history and that of civilized man. Heaven is the land of the people who live above, and the land is in the sky of the people who live below. They believe that our ancestors came from heaven to inhabit earthly paradise and decided to stay.